Hello,
Yes, Drew is back in the house finally. Good to see you,
Hey
Drew.
guys, how are you?
Good. It's been a while since we've chatted, Drew. Great to have you back. Real estate now has evolved and changed, I guess, Drew, over the last 6 months. Things
There's a
have
lot.
you
There's a
know,
lot changing.
lot changing. So people are obviously very interested and keen to know how real estate tech companies like yourself are evolving and changing. So really excited to hear from you because it's always good to kind of see how startups evolve. And I suspect, Drew, that Manor Straits has even more value to play in the ecosystem based on the fluctuation that's happening in the market right now. So what we'll do is, Drew, I will introduce myself, and let's hear about your platform. Right, we'll do our elevator pitch training. Are you ready, sir?
Let's do it. I'm in.
All right. I'm going to hit the top of the elevator. We'll have our 1 minute pitch timeline as we always do. I'll introduce myself. Drew, just so everyone knows, where are you calling from today?
So calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. All right. Let's make this more Chicago instead of New York today then, okay? We were just in New York, but we'll kick off, all right? So we're hitting the top of the elevator, okay? I'll introduce myself and we'll get going. All right, Drew, my name is Ash Singh. I am a real estate developer, very famous for working for building real estate for high-end clients, including Michael Jordan. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you're building. I heard you have some really good intelligence in the real estate space. So tell me about what you're working on and how you're changing the world. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for your time and your interest in Manor Straits. You mentioned on the last pitch, location is a huge factor to real estate. And that's absolutely true, but we're trying to prove that, data can solve multiple different indicators and point you in the right direction. So what that means is, Manor Straits is a real estate investment platform powered by machine learning. Mm-hmm. We're on a mission to connect top investors around the country, those off-market deals. So we spent the last 2.5 years aggregating data in every asset class, initially starting or focusing on mid-market, the $5 million to about $30 million level, and partnering with family offices, buy-side focused, the investment shops that have the capital and can move quickly. And then we connect them directly to those off-market motivated sellers. So we're tracking over 500,000 property owners in a growing proprietary database and verifying these through our analyst team, and then presenting that through our platform in one streamlined tool. To date, we've raised $1 million and we have 9 strategic partnerships. We've sold 23% of the company, and these strategic partnerships have opened up those family office connections, capital placement connections. And our business is purely based on 2 revenue streams, subscription and commission. So buyers are signing up for our platform, paying a monthly fee, gaining access to that data transparency and that off-market pipeline. When we successfully bring a deal to the table and they close on an off-market transaction, we're then paid that advisory or commission fee. We're on target to reach about $600,000 in revenue by end of year, purely from that subscription and commission. We're looking to raise on our next raise about $3 million, selling 20% of the company, really trying to scale the business and take advantage of this opportunity, within this marketplace. Last thing I would mention is you mentioned the market changing. We are somewhat recession proof because we're using data to unlock different value no matter where you are around the country. We can find you a deal that's hidden, either off market or on market, depending on, no matter where you are in the country.
Got it. Excellent. Drew, thank you for that. Let's get some feedback for Drew on his platform. Manor Straits. So questions that are going through my mind, Drew, as you were pitching, and obviously you've gone through this journey before. It's obvious that you're an eloquent speaker, and you have the right elements covered. My question to you as you were going through this is, you mentioned that you're monitoring 500,000 property owners. Is that correct?
Correct.
As an early stage startup, right? Tell me about, like, that must, it came across to me. I'm like, wow, he's monitoring all this stuff. Like, this idea of off-market deals, right? It comes across to me as incredibly hard to do for an early stage company, right? I would assume off-market deals. So I'll just tell you where my brain was going while you were pitching. I'm like, okay, it all sounds interesting, but how do you actually stay on top of off-market deals, right? And when I think about off-market deals, I'm thinking about the typical property owner who might not be as digitally savvy, right? It might be somebody over the age of 50, right? At least, okay? And so I suspect there would be a lot of phone calls required, right? A lot of trust building, right? Like, I'm thinking, just in my limited capacity, we own property in 3 countries, in Singapore and in Toronto, for instance. Getting access to the local deal flow in Toronto requires you to be in market and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
without divulging any of your trade secrets, right? You know what I mean? Like, but I kind of wanted to know how you're doing it. It's part of the secret sauce, which I wanted to know. The pitch was great, but I wanted the secret sauce elements to come out, right? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've focused a lot of attention and development around the machine learning models. Basically our whole database is built around a propensity to sell. Each owner is ranked based on their data, whether it's over the age of 65, or they haven't paid taxes, or they haven't paid their mortgage. That's all available information. It's just hard to find. So to your question about tracking a mass amount of owners, we're very opportunistic on the buy side, and we've rolled this out very selectively to certain markets. And what that means is any investor criteria. For example, we have clients in Southeast Florida. We have clients in Chicago, Denver, and then Texas. So we've chosen markets very selectively based on that buyer activity. Can they close in 15 to 30 days? Can they make that offer and connect with that owner? And then to your other point, we've spent a lot of time setting up brokerage networks. At the end of the day, we're a digital brokerage, and we are trying to partner with boots on the ground. We're never going to bypass a deal that's come to market within the last 3 days, or it's going to market. Our main focus is being that acquisitions as a service team to provide value to our investors or our clients. So we do have boots on the ground in every market. We've partnered with brokerage shops. We've partnered with other investors and management teams. We're really just trying to get the inside look to, can we buy that property quicker than the other person?
Got it. It's very interesting, Drew, using publicly available data to drive intent to sell, right? Looking at their age, because it's clever, Drew. Does that make sense? And I feel like in the real estate space, because real estate plays have been pitched over and over and over again, right? And we hear a lot of the different elements, but I feel like there's a cleverness, Drew, in terms of your approach that I want it to come out. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's kind of how you win in real estate in a way. Is that fair to say? I mean, you have a lot more experience, but you have to be clever. You have to be able to drive those insights and opportunities that don't currently exist, right? And so the idea of, because I think on the buy side, it's not that difficult, correct? Drew? You can find out who's got money, right? Is that fair to say?
Exactly. Every website, every investment shop posts their investment criteria on their website. Here's what we're looking for, and here's where.
Yeah.
I worked for one of the top developers in Chicago for a few years and learned very quickly, if you have the top track record, if you have the most capital, and you have the reputation of getting deals done quickly, you will be sent the top deals. In fact, about 23% of top investments based on cap rate based on your return, is they never go to market. Those deals are never seen. They're sent pocket listing under the table to those top buyers. We're trying to change that. We want to get our clients in front of those sellers quicker, saying we can buy just as quick as the guy locally. Even if I'm in Chicago, I can buy in Lake Tahoe tomorrow.
Yes, yes. And I feel like but finding the intent of people to sell, that's your secret sauce, right? For Manor Straits is being able to get publicly available information, right? Person's age, you said, whether or not they're in strong, financial health, maybe their family size, Drew. You know what I mean?
There's a scary amount of information that you can track, and all of that is being refined through this machine learning to build this proprietary database, and each owner is at different stages. Today they might not want to sell, but 3 months, 3 years from now, as we get bigger and bigger, we can have a national database, and it becomes a matchmaking play.
Got it. And as you're building this, is this like an American B to B play? Or is this open for, people in Singapore, for instance? As you might know, Singaporeans are one of the largest real estate owners in the UK right now, right? And we live in this global world. So, Drew, in 2022, where is Manor Straits going? Where is it going to be?
Yeah, we're hyper focused on our current clients, our current markets, building that database, and really, building that reputation of having that network of buyers that can close quickly. But long term, absolutely. I mean, our platform's designed to facilitate capital movement or capital placement, right? If there's investors in Singapore or Hong Kong, those family offices that have a ton of capital, but they don't have the time to weed through the bottom deals or the top deals, or they don't have access to those American real estate deals. So we can provide that.
Got it. And I want to talk a little bit about dollars and cents, Drew, because that's for another thing out. So when you buy off market, for those of and this is, I guess, Drew, why the rich get richer. Is that fair to say? Right?
Very fair.
We're all listening and learning from Drew. Some of us might not have the wealth or to be able to be on the buy side on Drew's database. But how much of a win do they get, when you have these off-market wins? Okay. Because at the end of the day, the person that's going to invest in you is going to be looking at, the year over year yield or, value. When you get an off-market deal like this, what is the instant value that the person can derive? Because typically when you go in real estate, I'm going to buy this, and looking forward, you're going to see some value, right? Every year. But because of off-market transactions, I'm assuming that there's this magical instant number you get too, like an instant bump in value because it's not on the market, right? So tell me a little bit about with your transactions, how it's going to work.
So, it's a multi-answer, I guess, depending on where the market is. Every property in our view is available for sale, right? There's just a price that owner will accept and our buyer will actually offer. So it depends on the investment criteria. As far as a cap rate or a return threshold for each market, it's completely different asset types. I can use a few of our case studies as an example. We bought an off-market deal in Ohio, middle of nowhere. Bought at you'd expect a 10% return each year.
Yes.
We're under contract for a 115% return in 11 months to sell. And that's just because we bought off market, undervalued. We increased the value through renovations. Within less than a year, we have 115% return. Bought off market, sold off market. Another example is an investor out of Aspen. He's looking to do a 1031 exchange. He had 12 days to move the money. We found him a deal that was actually on market that he never knew about. So he bought it in 12 days, and it was at about a 12% expected return on your money year over year.
Mm,
So just making those connections based on your investment criteria to your question, there's investors looking high and low for different deals and different return thresholds. It could be a long-term hold, it could be a short-term hold.
got it.
But we can facilitate that.
Got it. Got it. Because I feel like this clever component, in your pitch, and I because I mean it was a great pitch, but I want to emphasize the cleverness of, because it's a platform play, right? And
Mhm.
when I look at it, Manor Straits, I always try to dumb it down in terms of what you have like supply and demand, right? It's like a dance floor at a club, right? The reason
Yeah.
why they have ladies' nights and
Yep.
ladies drink free, or ladies are allowed to come in free, is because you need to fill the dance floor with something interesting, and then the men, you know what I mean? So supply and demand, right? um and I'm sure you have the unit economics to kind of make all these components work, right? My last question to you is that you're not making any recommendations on the properties themselves, you're just creating the space, is that correct?
As far as recommendations, what do you mean by that?
Because you're going to bring all these off-market deals, you just have them compiled, correct? You're not
Mhm.
actually making recommendations, you're just, this is as it is, right? These are all the portfolio and stuff that we have, is that correct?
So we actually took it a step further. So we give you every tool you need to underwrite the deal, to basically actually place the offer, DocuSigns integrated, all in one platform, from sourcing to identifying and ranking those opportunities, and then tracking your off-market pipeline. So it's a full scale from sourcing to close.
Understood. Got it. Fantastic. All right, Drew. um okay, I have one last question. Who else is doing something like this, Drew? Are you the only guy that's like structuring stuff like this? Because this is, the way you've approached the problem and the model, and obviously we know this for, there's platforms like PitchBook and stuff like that, but are you the only person that's looked at it with this approach with real estate? Seems
No,
like you.
I'd be worried if we were the only ones. I like to think that if there's competitors in the water, it's, boats rise together. So
Sure,
there's
sure.
a company out of Texas called Offered. They're doing incredibly well. Similar concept. There's all the data players, but it's very early in the prop tech space, and it's really exciting time for everyone to grow together. But as far as our concept, purely focusing on buy side machine learning database, it's fairly new in the space.
Got it. And so your primary customer is that analyst at a family office, right? The people that have the cash, they would look at this and say, hey, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
want to leverage this. Yeah,
the justification is, you're paying us a monthly fee, but you're not hiring an in-house employee where you have to pay benefits and you have to, have
sure.
an office for. We're outsourced acquisitions team. We take the grunt work out of sourcing deals, and you can move your capital way much faster and efficiently.
Got it. Got it. Love it. Okay. And so let me see if I can, would you like me to pitch this back to you, Drew? I want to
I'd love to.
I want to emphasize the cleverness of the model, Drew. Okay, right? I want this to be a play that is not just a real estate play for investors, but anyone in the right mind, right?
Mhm.
How do you create, people talk about marketplaces, okay? So I want to pitch it back to you from a marketplace component and emphasize the cleverness of the marketplace, okay? Because this
Excellent.
will allow you just to be able to talk to a larger breadth of investors as well. You're looking to raise $3 million. Okay, you've raised $1 million already. You're generating some solid rent, over $500,000, $600,000 of revenue. Okay, so there's some momentum there, and we go from there. All right. Are you ready? So
Excellent.
Drew, you get to introduce yourself. You can be anyone you want. Go ahead.
Hey Ash, I'm Ken Griffin from Citadel. I'm moving my office down to Florida and moving our whole team. We need to find a better location. I'm interested in your software. How can you help us move?
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for making the time, sir. My name is Ash Singh, and I'm part of the Manor Straits team. we've actually created a very interesting platform. I know you've probably heard about marketplaces today. We have discovered something really beautiful, and that is that most of the big deals that happen in the real estate space actually happen off market, right? It's all about who you know. And I'm sure you've seen this over the years. Somebody knows somebody, and through that journey, they get some sort of unfair advantage. And what we've done is we've invested the time, energy, and effort to create a platform to allow any family office that's looking, interested to buy, to be able to leverage our platform, because we have been able to use publicly available information to create intent to buy. We've actually driven a process to create momentum and interest for people to take and transact offline. And so we're looking to actually take this platform to the next level with our Manor Straits platform. We've built it up now. We have several family offices, and we're looking at over 500,000 property owners that are looking to sell. And we've been able to create this marketplace now, and we've had our first $600,000 of revenue. Our goal, though, is to be that definitive source of truth, early access to deals, and give the buyer that instant win, right? That instant win. It's not just about kind of the current market. It's being able to come on, and instead of having that 10% year over year, we aim to drive that. And because it's off market, hopefully drive it to a 15 or 20% year over year return on what they're doing. I want to chat to you more. I'd like to show you how it works, and maybe even show you some of the deals that we have available for your market. Would love to chat more over a coffee. Thank you.
Excellent. That was spot on. I appreciate it.
No problem, Drew. I want, you know, when I think about the investment play on this, and what's really fun for me, Drew, when I do elevator pitches, I start to really think about when I'm pitching the idea. Sometimes I'll give you some feedback after the pitch, because I've now internalized what you're doing, right? It helps me internalize. And what I feel is that this play around marketplace, and I know what you're doing is really sexy, off-market deals and all the other components, but and family offices, right? And you know, the family offices in Toronto looking for American real estate, and Singapore. I mean, we'd love to connect those dots, and we're going to make that happen for you. But this idea of just making sure that you have the most recent available data, right? And being that source of truth, right? Similar to like what PitchBook does, for instance, right? It's that source of truth. And when they look at it compared to all the other people, you've won there, I think is really powerful. I also feel like when I think about what you're doing, as I was pitching, I was feeling that the existing incumbents that are really big, the PitchBooks of the world, might even look to acquire a company, right? You know, but then, but the other element around this is what is your big picture, right? The other element around what you're doing is, if you build all these components right, you know, and you get to where you need to be, one might ask why, you know, could Manor Straits themselves eventually build their own fund? Do you know what I mean? And keep all the, you know what I mean? And then suddenly you're competing with the, you know, the big real estate plays. So, you know, part of your journey, and I didn't know which direction you wanted to go into, but there is an avenue to be said that if you have the best deal flow and you have access to capital, maybe you can become the biggest real estate, maybe Drew Kenning will be the largest real estate owner, right, in the United States. Does that make sense? But does that make sense? Right? Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think to your question on long-term vision, you know, it's important to note that we're not purely focused on family offices. We're trying to create that network of either early amateur investors trying to, you know, break that learning curve, right? We're offering the tools of finding those deals, not having that brokerage network, not having the models. As far as long-term vision, the deal-making ecosystem of just real estate in general is massive. We can connect the dots between, you know, not only, you large capital, but also brokers, property owners, appraisals, lenders. I see it as somewhat of a diamond. We've talked a little bit in our other classes, but yeah, we're trying to be that deal making ecosystem and facilitate the multiple levels of the transaction.
Yes, yes, fantastic. So, Drew, thank you for joining us. Right, really interesting
you.
stuff, and I think let's help drive the fundraising components around what you need to do, and look forward to being part of your success, Drew. Fantastic stuff. Thank you for your time today.